Hi there, Joseph here. Uh, Today's subject is going to be what I call Into the Mythic. And I call it that because I like myths. Actually, there's a real reason for it, but I'm not going to tell you. Yeah. Before I go into that, though, Letty posted a comment on my blog, which you should all be members of, josephcarabas.com. Anyway, Letty posted a comment on episode 22 about plot line, timeline, and through line. And the question was a good one. You can go read the comments if you like. Please do. Enjoy the blog. Anyway, the comment was that when I demonstrated timeline, I said it could go all over the place, and she wasn't clear. I was not clear for her on how that met up with plot line, which always starts in the characters now, or the places now, whatever, and ends similarly. Because in the example I gave, the timeline, which can go all over the place, is not on the plot line. So let me explain for everybody. I was specifically, I was mentioning something that happens in the Inheritors. The story starts, excuse me, the story starts with Uncle Ro talking to his niece, Layla. She's sitting on his knee. She's a little schoolgirl. He's in his 40s. And she's had a bad day at school, and she wants to hear a story to make everything up, to make her feel better. Okay, fine. So he tells her the story of Uncle Tommy, his twin brother, and her uncle. What's the thing that's happening here is Uncle Ro and Layla are in the story's present now. Okay, they're in the story's plot line now. But the story he's telling her, which is the inciting incident for the entire novel, happened 35, 40 years ago. So the inciting incident takes place in the past, but it's being told in the story's present. So you can, and that's one of the things we can talk about later, I guess, I hope, maybe, is that I think I even said it in episode 22, that you can use flashbacks, you can use flash forwards to move that timeline all over the place. The timeline does not have to match perfectly with the plot line, but the plot line somehow or other needs to be in the stories now, even if what is revealed in the plot happened 50 years ago, 100 years ago, a million years ago. It has to be discovered in the stories now. Okay, there you go. Into the Mythic. Long, long ago, once upon a time, in a land far, far away. These are all ways that most people are familiar with to lift the reader into a reality which is not the reader's reality. So that's into the mythic. You're going into a mythic reality. Long ago, our people came here. So the listener, because these techniques were most often used in oral traditions, the reader, listener, viewer, feels, emotionally, psychologically feels a lift, a change in perspective. One of the techniques I used to use, I still do when I'm teaching this kind of stuff, we'd all be sitting around a table talking, and I would say, I want to tell you a story. Hint one, I want to tell you a story. But I want you all to be sitting on the floor with me or sitting on the ground with me when I do it. And that literally lifts them from their reality to a new reality, an unfamiliar reality for many people. We're going to sit on the ground. We're going to sit outside. We're going to sit around a campfire. These are all ventures into the mythic. Now, the thing about going into the mythic, you lift the reader out and put them in someplace new. And where you're putting them is into the story's reality. Because, I have notes here, stories are transportation devices. Stories, not nonfiction, some creative nonfiction, but fiction, is meant, in my opinion, to lift the reader from where they are, from their life, to give them a reprieve, to give them an escape to some other place. Where, and now here's one of the things that stories, traditional in oral traditions, do for us. They are teaching stories. They are healing stories. They are meant to help us understand the world. They are little morality plays. And of course, the morality is based on the culture that the story is being told in. Okay? So Japanese mythology is very different than Norse mythology. You may still have dragons, but the dragons do very different things. You may still have tigers, but the tigers do very different things. Well, you don't have tigers in Norse mythology. You have big cats. Anyway, so you lift the reader from their reality into another reality. And you can do this many, many times. You can do this level 1, long ago and far away, 2. There lived a. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Here's what you need to do, and this actually comes from what's called hypnotic induction, which in a previous life, I did a lot of work with clinical and therapeutic hypnosis. So I actually, well, I'm not going to say I know what I'm talking about, but I've had experience with it. I've had experience with chili peppers too. Love those. Anyway, oh, by the way, we're listening to John Mayall. I'm not sure I even mentioned that. Mayer. John Mayer or John Mayall? Hang on a second. What is his name? Well, it says Prelude. Anyway, John. So, the guy who did Your Body as a Wonderland and Superman and all that kind of good stuff. Really enjoy his stuff. So you move the reader, but from hypnotic techniques, we also know that you must bring them back, and you can't, boom, bring them back. You need to bring them back through the different levels. In hypnosis, if you've probably seen this in TV and movies or heard it, I want you to start counting backwards, or we're going to count backwards from 100, and each time, blah, 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 blah. Now, the person who's under hypnosis may encounter a very painful subject, and they want to get away from it. They're uncomfortable with it. A good hypnotist, clinical hypnotist, will bring them back. Will say, okay, fine, we're going to come back. But they won't say, I'm going to go, boom, you're going to come back. They're going to go, come back with me. Come back with me. We're here now. We're here now. We're here now. And now you're awake. Now you can open your eyes. And there's a reason for that. The reason is if we leave people by accident or choice in a mythic state, when they're operational, so to speak, they can get very, very confused. And one of the ways this happens, one of the ways we see this is people who are so involved in cosplay that they show up for work dressed as a character from a favorite book, a favorite series, a favorite TV show, favorite movie. The people who cannot escape, if you will, it's actually the proper term, escape the reality that the book or the hypnotist has left them in. Because we as authors are hypnotists. We invite, we encourage, we perform an induction to get our readers to where our stories take place and then bring them out. There's a lot of times you can see this in popular culture, by the way. For example, in Twilight Zone, the traditional, the real Twilight Zone, Rod Serling's Twilight Zone, the opening sequence, that is a beautiful hypnotic induction. And at the end, Rod Serling appeared again and did a voiceover, basically telling you, okay, the story's done and over, right? The original Outer Limits, the good Outer Limits, such prejudice, eh? In the original Outer Limits, we take control of your TV set. And at the end, we now can return control of your TV set to you. In theaters, you know, everything goes dark. So you know you're leaving this world, and all of a sudden you're seeing all this over here. So there's the beginning sequence drawing you in. Remember the original Star Wars, that big ship and the text rolling up the screen. That was just a tremendous induction. How does the movie end? With the text rolling up the screen again, but the light's coming on. So you're leaving that reality. When we are creating our stories, when we are creating our myths, it's very, very important that we invite the reader in through use of language, through relatability of characters, through involvement and engagement. And it's equally important that however many levels we go in, we bring the reader, the listener, the viewer back out. We free them, because only when they're free do they make the conscious choice to go back in. If we leave them back in, maybe this is something you want to do. I don't particularly want to do this. I don't care to do this. I don't like to do this. If we leave the reader back in, reader, listener, viewer, they're essentially going for a drug. And I'm uncomfortable. I personally am uncomfortable with that. I'd rather they make the choice consciously. They may make the choice for the drug. That's what I hope. But then I know if that's the way it's working, they can put the drug down. So ways this may appear from your readers or your listeners. I've had readers contact me that they read all through the night, not realizing it was the morning. I've had readers tell me they missed their bus stop. I've had readers tell me they forgot to do things, you know, that they got angry with themselves because they had to go to the bathroom. I'm like, take the book with you. I've read it in the bathroom, haven't you? Those are all indications of people so deep into the mythic reality of the story that they did not want to escape it. Okay? And indeed, going with what I just said, when people are reading, if they don't read everything in one hit, you know, they read piece by piece by piece, one of the things that happens is they're in that mythic reality. They're kind of in a fog, if you will. Not a bad fog, but they're kind of like always thinking, wonder what happens next, as they're going throughout their day. One of those ways this works against you, and this is something I've had readers tell me, sometimes my storylines are complex. Duh, surprise. And that's because if I'm not interested in what I'm putting together, I don't expect anybody else to be. And I enjoy complex things, even though I'm pretty simple. Anyway, so because my stories tend to be a little complex structures, several themes, multiple plot lines, one of the things that can happen is if the reader cannot devote a lot of time to an individual reading session, they can never get back into the mythic. They never get a chance to go in. They're always out, and they can't engage with the story. I don't know if that's my fault, because I write stories that I like to read. So, hey, there you go. Into the Mythic. I hope that's useful to you. It is something that I really enjoy doing, and I love when I pick up a book that gets me into the mythic. Oh, God, that is gold. That is oil. That is real estate. That is deep space travel at hyperlight speeds. Take care. I'm going to attempt to shut us off without looking at the button. Oh, screw it. I got to look at the button. There it is.